Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and today I'm building Shiro from Voltron. After the build, be sure to check out my community tab to vote for the next one. So what do we want from this build? Well, the biggest thing we need is our lion. We need a flying lion to accept us as its pilot and allow us to ride it. Every lion in Voltron looks for something specific in its pilots, and our black lion looks for a born leader, so we need to lead and inspire our team, elevating them just by being near them. We also need to just be good at things. Shiro is very well-rounded. He's fast, he's strong, tough, tactical. There really isn't much he's outright bad at. Looking over at ability scores, I'll be doing a point buy. If you want to roll for stats, it's fine, just make sure your strength and charisma are high enough to multiclass. We need to be good at most things, so we'll go with as even a split as we can, with 13s in strength, constitution, and charisma, and 12s in everything else. Then as a human, we get +1 to all of our stats, so those 13s become 14s, and then 12s become 13s. Shiro is a space pilot, and weirdly there's actually a background for that thanks to the Spelljammer book. As a wild spacer, we get proficiency in athletics and survival, as well as with navigator's tools and space vehicles. We're also adapted to being in wild space, meaning we don't get disadvantage on melee attacks from being weightless, and we get the tough feat for free for an extra 2 HP per level. As the leader of the Voltron Paladins, it only makes sense that we start off as a paladin for proficiency in persuasion and insight. We get a divine sense, so we can tell the locations of any fiends, undead, or celestials within 60 feet as an action, and we can heal with a touch. Lay on Hands gives us a pool of points equal to 5 times our paladin level. Then as an action, we can touch a creature and expend points to heal them for that amount, or spend 5 points to cure a disease or poison. Should be enough to keep us patched up between gladiator fights at least. Paladins watch each other's backs, so the protection fighting style uses our retractable light shield and our reaction to give disadvantage to an attack aimed at another creature within 5 feet of us. We get spells at this level, like Heroism, to give an ally temporary HP each turn and encouraging them to keep them from being frightened, or Searing Smite to form Voltron's Blazing Sword, lighting the sword on fire to ignite enemies and deal damage over time. Alternatively, we can channel our energy into our prosthetic arm for a Divine Smite, dealing extra radiant damage when we hit with it by burning a spell slot. We deal 2d8 with the first level slot and add a d8 for every level higher. Our arm can cut through metal when it's energized, so being able to burn a 4th level slot to deal 5d8 extra radiant damage seems about right. Now, since Voltron is the defender of the universe and was originally formed to fight a threat from another dimension, we'll take the Oath of the Watchers. Our Oath spells at this level are Alarm and Detect Magic, and we can channel Divinity once per rest. Watcher's Will uses our action to give us and a number of other creatures up to our Charisma modifier within 30 feet advantage on any saving throws that use our mental stats for up to a minute. And Abjure the Extraplanar uses our action to force a Wisdom save on any aberrations, celestials, fiends, fae, or elementals within 30 feet. On a fail, they're turned for up to a minute and have to spend their turns moving as far away from us as possible. 3rd level paladins are also completely immune to disease, so we don't need to worry about any weird alien germs. 4th level rounds off our dexterity and intelligence to 14 apiece, and 5th level gives us extra attack to attack twice with the attack action instead of once. We also get 2nd level spells at this level. For Oath spells, we get See Invisibility, which we don't really care about, and Moonbeam, which we do, since it can function as a laser from our lion. A 5-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder beam of light shines down, dealing 2d10 radiant damage to any creature who fails a constitution save when they move into the beam or start their turn in it. We can move it around, and shapeshifters have disadvantage on the save and get forced back into their natural form on a fail. We can use Magic Weapon to give our prosthetic a more minor charge, so it just gets a +1 bonus for the duration rather than a single huge burst of damage, and we get access to Find Vehicle. Now, I mostly considered 2 ways to get our lion. The more accurate way is to cast Find Vehicle as a 7th level spell to summon any vehicle, but I decided against that for a couple of reasons that I'll get into later. Shiro is still a great pirate of normal, non-magic lion vehicles though, so we can still get some use out of this. 6th level is when we start to get our paladin auras. First up is Aura of Protection, arguably the best of the bunch, as we add our Charisma modifier to all of our saving throws, as well as those of our allies within 10 feet as long as we're conscious. Keep in mind, this does mean that our allies can give the bonus to their death saves, but we can't, since if we're making death saves, we're usually unconscious, so the aura doesn't work. Next, our Oath gives us the Aura of the Sentinel, which adds our proficiency bonus to our initiative rolls and those of our allies within 10 feet. Our next ASI can boost our Charisma for better spells and Aura of Protection, then we get 3rd level spells at level 9. We don't really need any of these, but we do get non-detection and counterspell as Oath spells to shut down any Galra shenanigans. Our Aura of Courage prevents us and any of our allies within 10 feet from being frightened. Just being around Space Dad makes the others feel more confident. Then Improved Divine Smite adds a free d8 of radiant damage to any melee weapon we hit with. Now, Technically, this doesn't work with unarmed strikes, unlike the regular Divine Smite. It really doesn't unbalance anything as far as I can tell, and your DM might count your prosthetic as a weapon anyway if they let you use magic weapon on it, so make sure to talk to them to confirm. At 12th level, we'll pick up a feat, Skill Expert, rounding off our Wisdom to 14, giving us proficiency in animal handling to work better with our lion, and upgrading our Athletics proficiency to an Expertise. 13th level paladins get 4th level spells, so we get Aura of Purity and Banishment as oath spells, but more importantly, we finally get our lion with Find Greater Steed, which summons a fantastic creature to be our mount. The Black Lion is of course a lion, but it's also the only Voltron lion with wings, so it seems appropriate to make our steed a griffin. We can communicate telepathically with our steed, and any spell we cast that usually only targets ourselves can also target the mount. There's nothing else we really need from Paladin, so we'll finish up as a fighter. Second Wind gives us a bit more self-healing, using our bonus action to heal for 1d10 plus our fighter level once per rest, and depending on how your DM rules the prosthetic arm, we'll take one of 2 fighting styles. The more in-character in my opinion is unarmed fighting, since Shiro does no martial arts, which lets us use a d6 for our unarmed strike damage or a d8 if we aren't holding weapons or a shield, as well as dealing a free d4 to a creature we have grappled with our mechanical grip. If your DM rules the prosthetic as a weapon rather than unarmed, then dueling probably works better instead, adding 2 to the damage of your one-handed melee weapon if it's the only weapon you're using. It does make some amount of sense. I suppose a prosthetic arm would be one-handed by definition. Second level fighters get Action Surge, letting us take a second action on our turn once per rest. Then our experience starts to show through at 3rd level as a Battle Master. We're a student of war, so we get proficiency with one type of artisan's tools. I'd say ask your DM if you can grab hacking tools, so your arm can interface with Gallagher tech. Then with combat superiority, we get superiority dice, a pool of 4 d8s that refill on any rest and power our maneuvers. First up, tactical assessment lets us add a superiority die to an insight, history, or investigation check we make. Then we can rally our teammates, or lion, with our bonus action, giving them temporary HP equal to the die roll plus our charisma modifier. One maneuver that I don't use often in these builds is bait and switch. On our turn, we can spend 5 feet of movement to switch places with an ally who's adjacent to us without provoking opportunity attacks. Then we roll a superiority die and add the result to either our AC or the AC of the creature we switch places with until our next turn. Normally this is a little bit too restricted for my taste, but since we can use it with our lion, we can just do a quick barrel roll on our turn for a potentially very solid AC boost. In the same vein, we'll take Mounted Combatant at 4th level. While we're mounted on our lion, we get advantage on melee attacks against unmounted creatures smaller than the lion, our lion has evasion, and we can force an attack that's aimed at the lion to target us instead. Our AC is a good deal higher than the lion's unless we get him some armor, as is our HP, so we're in a good position to take hits for him. Plus, if we bait and switch on our turn, we can get a d8 added to our AC and redirect any attacks into our boosted armor. The only thing fighters get at 5th level is extra attack, but it doesn't stack with the one we got from Paladin, so at 6th level we'll boost our charisma with our last ASI. Our capstone is the 7th level of Battle Master Fighter, and we get a bunch of stuff here. Shiro is great at picking apart his enemies and figuring out how they fight, so we get Know Your Enemy. By interacting with a creature outside combat for a minute, we can learn if they're higher, lower, or equal to us in our choice of 2 of Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, AC, Current HP, Fighter levels, or Total Class levels. We also get a 5th superiority die and 2 more maneuvers to direct our lion. With Maneuvering Attack, when we hit with an attack, we can add a die to the damage, then one of our allies can use their reaction to move up to half their speed without provoking opportunity attacks. And with Commander Strike, we can forego one of our attacks with the attack action, and spend our bonus action to let an ally attack using their reaction, adding a superiority die to the damage. Now that the build is complete, let's take a look and see what we have done. Well, right off the bat, we have a flying lion to attack people with. It doesn't do huge amounts of damage, but it boosts our mobility through the roof with its 80-foot flying speed, and effectively doubles the number of attacks we get in a round with its multi-attack. It is more fragile than us by a decent amount, but we can compensate for that by redirecting attacks with Mounted Combatant, warding off attacks with Protection, and healing it with our Lay on Hands if it does take hits. In fact, we have enough Lay on Hands to fully heal the lion from 1 HP and still have some left over. Really, our resilience is one of our best features. We have around 200 HP with average rolls, over 100 at minimum, and almost 300 at maximum. We have very solid AC that we can boost further, and our Aura of Protection means our lowest save is +6, not to mention it boosts our lion's saves as well. Our stats are a little bit more uniform than I'd prefer, and specifically they're uniformly only a +2, which tends to happen with these types of characters who don't have any real weak points. +2 could be worse, of course, but it could also be better, and it might be tricky to land an attack to deliver a Divine Smite or a Searing Smite. And then finally, I just want to talk about why I went with the Griffin rather than a 7th level Find Vehicle. For one thing, Shiro isn't a 13th level full caster. He just isn't. He's not a druid or sorcerer, wizard, or cleric. Warlock could work, but they don't get 7th level spell slots, so the only way I could see it working would be like, I don't know, Valor Bard maybe? And I think Paladin just fits better. Also, there's not stats for Voltron Lions. That's not inherently a problem, and I did something similar with the Maverick build and his fighter jet, but it still feels a little hand-wavy for something so central to the character. Really though, the final clincher was that a big part of why the Lion trusts Shiro is that he sees and respects it as an actual thinking creature, rather than as just a weapon to control like Zarkon does. So having it as a living greater steed just made more sense to me, even if it's a little bit less accurate flavorfully than the find vehicle would have been.
No! We can do this! We have to believe in ourselves! We can't give up! We are the universe's only hope! Everyone is relying on us! We can't fail! We won't fail! If we work together, we'll win together! Yeah!
Thank you for watching, friends. I hope you enjoyed the build. Head on over to my community tab if you want to vote for the next character for me to do. This week's poll is between Yamato from One Piece, TF2's Heavy, and 2 characters from Fate, Wu Zeishan, and our runner-up from last time, Arjuna. If you have any feedback or suggestions for characters you'd like to see me build, please leave them in the comments below, and they could show up in a future poll. Leave a like or subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks again for watching. I will see y'all later.